What's up, world? This is your boy, your guy, Coach EV, aka EV the Geeker, and welcome to the Geeker Report podcast, where the geek meets the streets. Before I get too deep into the geek, I need you to hit the like button. I need you to subscribe to this channel, and I need you to share this podcast with everyone you know. Each week on our show, we want to bring you all types of geek, primarily focusing on the sports and entertainment world. We will have all types of coaches and athletes from every level that will be on this show, as well as some rappers and other entertainers. You don't want to miss this geek. Now, some of you may be asking, just what is the geek? The geek is whatever you want it to be. If you're into politics, you're into the political geek. If you're into fishing, you're into the fishing geek. If you're into music, you're into the musical geek. Just remember, it's all just a geek. Now, this week coming up on our show, we have a big time college coach. And you got to stay on and watch it to know who it is. But before we go into that, just let me remind you, please, please, please follow us on all social media platforms at the Geeker Report Podcast. Now, get your mind ready to receive this geek.
Vaughn for three. Boy, Eric Vaughn is perfect so far.
Geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's the geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's the geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's the geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's
All right. What's up, world? This is your guy, Coach EV, aka EV the Geeker, and welcome to the first ever Geeker Report podcast brought to you today by Tatum and Wade law firm located at 124 East of Mid Street here in Jackson, Mississippi. Their motto is attorneys who will fight for you. My motto for them is if you want to get paid, then you need to go to Tatum and Wade. Well, enough of that geek. Let's get ready to meet our first ever guest on the show. He is a longtime friend of over 20 years, and he just so happens to be one of the best college coaches in the world. He is the head coach of the Missouri Tigers, my friend, my guy, Cuonzo, aka Zoe Martin. What up, Zoe?
How you doing, AV? Thank you for having me, man.
G-O-G, Zoe. G-O-G. Get out the geek early. So let me just explain. Let me explain, because a lot of people going to be asking, like, what is the geek? What does G-O-G mean? Get out the geek. I mean, Zoe spoke to me. He gave me the professional geek. I mean, you're geeking, Zoe.
Zoe, you're geeking.
I mean, you're geeking early. I love it. So I just want to let all you guys know, geeking means whatever you want it to mean. It does not mean he's not telling the truth. It doesn't mean that he is doesn't speaking to me sincerely. But for me, he's geeking. And I'm telling him to G-O-G, get out of the geek. But, you know, that's our little moniker. And we'll just, as you continue to be a part of the Geeker Report podcast, we will explain that to you, and you'll just learn the terminology. See, so Zoe, you getting it here? You getting the terminology already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you get it, Zoe, because we go way back. You know, we've been just being silly and stuff, you know, this whole time. Listen, Zoe, let me just jump right in. You know, the world, I'm 50 years old. I'll be 51 in July. And, man, the world right now is in probably the most chaotic that it has been since I've been alive. So it has to be the most chaotic since you've been alive, since you're a few years younger than me. What's your thoughts right now with all the killings, the Black Lives Matter movement, just everything that's been going on, the racial divide that I believe that is being perpetrated in society now? What's some of your thoughts on that?
I think we are in certainly trying times. Some would say tough times. For me, start with the COVID. it's unfortunate, the deaths, the stress, the worries, the fear that is caused on, families all across the world. If there's any positive in that, and I want to be respectful when I say that, if there's any positive in the COVID virus, it's me being able to spend time with my family. So I think that part has been great, because when I got in this profession in 2000, it seems like I've been going 90 miles an hour as an assistant coach, even as a head coach. Grateful for the opportunities, but it seemed like I've been going so fast. And, trying to find time to vacation, and you vacation 4 or 5 days and you're halfway in because you focus on the next thing, recruiting players, getting back to campus, getting back to doing your job. So for this, it's been a great time. And even just going back to my roots, when I grew up, we used to eat dinner at the dinner table. So we started doing that because, again, we're moving so fast. But all those things I'm grateful for. We pray as a family at the dinner table. Now, we pray and pass and we pray about meals, but just to do those subtle things, there's a real appreciation for me. Then when you go to the deaths, there's been so many of them. So where do you start? And my life, 49 years on this earth, I've seen it, heard about it. And all you can do is really pray to God. And I just pray for God to give understanding, to make me continue to have a good heart, a peace of mind, to allow your will to be done. Again, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, continue to trust him and lean not on your own understanding, which that's a hard thing to do when you see this over and over. And you just pray that, I just say, I prayed to him for about 3 or 4 weeks. God, can you reveal yourself? Because this is exhausting, And again, I'm grateful for everything I have, but when I see things, I always see myself as that kid in East St. Louis, Illinois, growing up. So those are the people I feel like I need to help, and I need to be a part of their lives. I just say, God, can you reveal yourself? Because these are trying times.
You're exactly right, though. It is definitely trying times. And I think you have, enlightened us and said some things that's very critical, and that you relied on your faith to kind of get you through this. And I'm right there with you. So many times we try to figure this thing out. And you said a very key scripture. I think one of the most key scriptures right now is Proverbs 3 and 5, where you trust, like you said, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. Evie and Zoe, as smart as we are, our understanding is not what we need right now. We need the Lord. And then, like you said, in all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. We definitely need some direction, because it's such a level of uncertainty right now. Like as you begin to prepare for this upcoming season, and your season was kind of cut short, and your off season, how do you prepare? I know a lot of coaches are going through Zoom and stuff like that. How do you prepare with the uncertainty of, like, will there be a season? Will they be on campus? What is the NCAA going to do? Obviously, they canceled the recruiting, so much. Like, what are you doing with all this uncertainty in basketball right now?
To be totally honest with you, the basketball piece has been on the back burner. Now, we do Zoom calls. We try to get them twice a week. And we started maybe after the first 2 weeks when the pandemic really hit and everybody started to understand what it was. So we started doing Zoom calls once a week, then twice a week. And we just try to get different guest speakers on, and we've tried to spend more time with not necessarily sports people, but people in the military field, people in the doctors realm, people in the political world, just getting our guys understanding about life and being prepared. Because we try to spend a lot of time with life issues, being diverse as far as your growth. We always talk about your portfolio outside of the basketball piece. How are you growing? But the NCAA will vote on it here shortly of what they'll allow men's basketball to do, women's basketball to do. But for our players, we probably have 6 or 7 on campus, but they can't do anything in the facilities. June 8th, we were allowed to be on campus. We'll probably get started June 22nd. If not June 22nd, maybe in July. But for me, the most important thing is health and safety. This is a serious disease, and I don't want to take that lightly. I want to respect some of our guys' space and time, because if they want to stay at home, you're more than welcome to stay at home with your families, because that is the most important thing. Making sure we get this disease somewhat corralled. And for me, it's following the NCAA's protocol, our administrative team here at Mizzou, and then whatever they tell me, that's what we're doing.
You've always been that guy, Zoe. You've always been a guy that kind of just do exactly. I like that about you, Zoe. I mean, that's part of your geek right there. I mean, man, Zoe Martin gonna stay right there in between them lines, and that's okay, Zoe, because there's a lot of people that operate outside them lines. We like to keep it real here, So, man, I admire you for that, and again, I've been able to follow your career as an assistant. That's when we began to, get to know each other. And then your career as a head coach has been, you've been doing a phenomenal job. But I kind of want to just back up. We're going to get into your coach. A lot of people know a lot about the great Cuonzo Martin right now, the coach. I want to back up into this segment that we're calling "What is Your Geek?" It's called the "What's Your Geek" segment, meaning like, who is Cuonzo Martin? And this segment is brought to you by Fahrenheit Graphics and Sweet Mary Kay Photography. So this is called the "What's Your Geek" segment, and I just want you to tell us. Let's back up into Cuonzo Martin. Tell us a little bit about where those East St. Louis days, high school. Matter of fact, tell us a little bit how you met your wife. Let's dig into who Cuonzo Martin really is.
Okay. From East St. Louis, Illinois. Went to East St. Louis Lincoln High School. By all indications, in the state of Illinois, is one of the better basketball programs in history of Illinois basketball. We won 4 state championships. I was a part of 2 of those state championships. Technically, I tell people I was really a part of 3. And the reason why I say 3, in East St. Louis, when I was in high school started in the 10th grade. So it's 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So when I was in the 9th grade, LaFonso Ellis was actually one of my teammate. And so when I was in the 9th grade, they won the first state championship of 3 straight. So I claimed that one as well. Even though I wasn't a part of the team, I was technically a part of that team. So I'm claiming that one.
Okay.
Unless you get video footage. So my sophomore year, we won the 2nd state championship. LaFonso Ellis, that was his senior year. And then my junior year, we won the 3rd state championship. And then my senior year, we lost to Chicago King to go to the state championship. Now, the year before, we beat them to go to state championship. So that was always a great matchup. East St. Louis Lincoln and Chicago King, great battles. And I was blessed to play at Purdue University under Gene Katie. I learned a lot of valuable lessons. It was a real transition for me going from East St. Louis, which is a predominantly all-black environment, to go to West Lafayette, Indiana, under Gene Katie. But I have to admit, I learned a lot. Coach was a good man. He taught us a lot of life skills, a lot of values. Some would say when you watch him, he's a tough coach, but I didn't see him as being a tough coach. I just thought he was a teacher, because I saw toughness throughout my life as far as coaching and teaching, because I always felt like coaching is being a father figure, whether it's a counselor, uncle, whatever that is. I always thought that was coaching. It's not just you giving me advice. I thought you had to give me that hug. I thought you had to help me get home. I thought you had to help me find my way in life. It was more than just you teaching me a sport. And I thought Coach Katie did a good job, along with his staff. I thought they did a good job of helping me grow, making sure I fill out my paperwork as far as financial aid, making sure classes, helping me understand those small details. And I think we take for granted when some kids come from certain environments, what a syllabus is, or what we say AD. Well, I don't know what AD is. That's an athletic director. So I think all those things, I try to be sound when I speak to young men and women, to give them clarity, because I go back to my days when I was being recruited. There were certain things that, the coaches, when they come to my household, they would say that my mom probably didn't have clarity on, not that she wasn't an intelligent woman, but I think we have to be sound in how we speak and help people understand, and not try to talk over people's heads. And I think you can lose a lot of people that way. So for me, it's always just try to have compassion for people and understanding where people come from, but also grateful for the opportunities that I have. But, it was a tough road early at Purdue because I had a major knee surgery where I fractured my knee in the 9th grade. Then I had my 2nd knee surgery when right before I stepped on campus at Purdue. So, I'll never forget the doctors and the trainer said he was telling Coach Katie he might play a year at best. I mean, that's how bad my knees were. I still have 2 screws in my knee to this day since 1987. And they said he might play a year at best. And Coach Katie stuck with me. He honored that scholarship. And not that I got any impression that he would take it away. And I ended up having a pretty good career. I always felt like I was one of the best role players I ever played at Purdue. I never felt like I was a star. Glenn Robinson was a star, in my opinion. I'm not sure if there was another one that ever came through like Glenn Robinson. But I felt like I was a great role player, and I had a great time. I was blessed to get drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. And really, when I was in college, I just prayed to God, allow me to be a part of the team and make the team to be healthy enough. And then all of a sudden, when I started having success, I just prayed to God, allow me, be first team and all that sort of, because you work hard at those goals. And then after the senior year, God allowed me to hear my name get drafted. Hear my name when they called my name to be drafted. I knew I couldn't play long if I got an opportunity to play in the NBA because of my knees. And then I got drafted and I had an opportunity to play some in the NBA. So my wishes were granted when it came to that. And then I had a chance to play in Italy, Avellino, Italy. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And then when I was over there, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a form of cancer. And I had a tumor about the size of a baseball between my chest and my lung area. And, I was running down the court, and all of a sudden I was breathing like this, and I passed out at half court. And the guys came around me, and the trainer of the team, he couldn't speak any English, but what he was saying when you first came over, you were big, but now you're small. He did his hand like that, because when I got over there in August, I went from 215 pounds to that time when they weighed me, it was probably between 190 and 185 pounds. So I lost a lot of weight there. So they did a lot of tests and x-rays when I was in Italy. And then all they said was, the owner of the team, he just said, you need to get back to the States immediately. And at that time, my wife just came over. My wife had been over there probably 2.5 weeks, and my son Josh was probably 4.5 months old. So they had just came over. So we went back to the States. We flew from Rome to New York to Indianapolis, where I lived. And I would say between, over the years, the time kind of varies. So I would say between 1:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning, we went to the hospital in Indianapolis. And again, they did a lot of tests, x-rays, and blood work. And I'll never forget, I was sitting there, and then my wife, my son, Joshua, was sitting on the side of me. And the doctor, he said, I don't know if you're going to die, but this is life-threatening. And that was probably the toughest thing I think I've ever. Growing up in East St. Louis, I've seen a lot. And I was a part of, some mischievous things as a young guy. But when he said that was probably the toughest thing I think I ever heard in my life. Even to this day, toughest thing I ever heard, because I had no control over that situation. That later on that night, they were hopeful that it was tuberculosis. So if it was tuberculosis, they can put a mask on. And I had to stay in a room. My son and my wife, they couldn't be in a room with me. And that night, I just prayed to God. I said, just allow me to see Joshua turn 18. That was my prayer. I said, if he turns 18, whatever happens after that happens, God. And I didn't say it like I was arrogant and cocky. I just said, whatever happens, happens. If you let me see him turn 18, because I said, God, you gave him to me. And he's 4.5 months old. And now Joshua's 22 years old. He graduated from Purdue. Now he's about to go to Boston University to study speech pathology. So we're winning the game right now.
Man, that's awesome, man. What a major testimony. Let me back up just a taste. Your wife, when did you and your wife first get together? And there's a saying that says, behind every great man is a great woman. And obviously you're, a great man, and a guy admired, especially for your Christian values and getting to know you with that. Tell me a little bit about your wife when you guys got together, and how valuable and how important she's been in your career.
Very, and I'll go back to a scripture that I use today. I didn't use it then when I met her, because I didn't understand. I prayed to God, but didn't understand, didn't have a personal relationship. But John 14:14 says, you ask in my name, I shall give. Now it's when he decides to give. So you fast forward in a relationship. I met her at an Arby's. It was my sophomore year. It was both our sophomore year. And Arby's was the place to be on Saturday nights at Purdue. And mutual friends. One of the football guys that she grew up with her brother close. He kind of like a little sister to him. He said, my sister, see how she tell the story is I ran over to her. So I'm telling the story. She came over to me. So that's the story I'm telling, since I'm doing the talking. So, but no, so we connected, and then it just went from there. As our sophomore year, and we just developed a friendship. Actually, 2 days ago was our 25th anniversary.
Awesome.
So just a good person, very intelligent woman. And the thing about it, she used to work at Eli Lilly, downtown Indianapolis, when we first came out of college, and she was very successful. And then when I made the transition to become a head coach at Missouri State, we made the decision after 3 years, if this doesn't work, we'll go back to Eli Lilly, and I'll either, whether it's AAU basketball, high school coaching, go back and get my master, whatever that was. Didn't really have a true plan. If it doesn't work, now if it works, we'll roll and we'll be done forever. And so it worked out for us, and here we are today. But just, I can safely say, an intelligent woman, has a great heart, has a passion for people. She comes from humble beginnings like myself. She loves life. She knows the Lord because her mom's a woman of strong faith. Her mom used to minister for years, but she doesn't tell me what I want to hear, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's hard when you're in a young relationship. She's never been a person to tell me what I want to hear and make it sound good. If it's what it is, she'll tell me that. And for me, I just got to a point. I just prayed to God. And I think this is the hard thing for most to do, especially young relationships. I prayed to God to let me desire no woman but her. That's my desire. Let me desire no one but her. But also the other part, in young relationships where we both learn, and not necessarily tutelage from anybody, but we both learned you don't need to tell everybody your business. Because I think when you're in young relationships, even in college, you tell your family members, if I say stuff about her to my family members, or she says stuff about me to her family, now they form an opinion, and that can destroy a relationship because that opinion was formed by your words. So I guess by the grace of God, we were blessed not to do those type of things. So whenever we have struggles, we have to deal with it ourselves. And I think that's why I can safely say she's my best friend.
Now, Zoe, you know, by nature, I'm a preacher, so you know that. Yeah. So you just flip right into my geek. See, you flip geeks right there. You went you went into preaching right there. I almost wanted to give you an offering, you know. So glory, you trying to get me to start speaking in tongues. So anyway, but I want to just touch that because my wife and I celebrated 25 years last year. And it's powerful because, you know, being and seeing you on the road for so many years, and I saw a lot of coaches who were not faithful. Just keeping it 100 here. We keep it 100 here. They were not faithful. So the fact that you were faithful to your wife, and you said, which was a key statement that you made, you prayed to the Lord to stay faithful, because let's face it, men are driven by sight, and because of the success that you have, and people are always, you know, there's an enemy out there, there's an opponent, just like you game plan to try to beat Mississippi State and Ole Miss in the SEC. Satan, you know, we ain't gonna get too much preaching, but I gotta jump. I mean, you know, I just got you opened the door there, so I gotta at least just add piggyback that Satan is, you know, his whole purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. And the one thing that he does is he tries to destroy relationships. And so it's so powerful that people, and that's what I love about you, because not only are you a good coach, you're a great person. And you're a great person to be a role model to our kids. And that's important. When they're getting more than an XO guy, a hard-nosed guy, they're getting a guy that, and this is critical, especially in the Black community, because we've come up in a fatherless generation. And so the fact that here's a man that they can sit here and see that's been faithful to his wife for 25 years, has a family, that's powerful. I mean, and we celebrate you for that. Now, so remind me of your wife's name again, because I want to get her.
Roberta.
The great Roberta Martin. That's what, Roberta, we celebrate you, Roberta, because we know that Zoe wouldn't be who he is. He's already said it without you. So we want to say your name on the air, Roberta, because, I mean, powerful. So we appreciate that take, man, on that. That was real powerful. Thank you for jumping into the spirit there, so I can, you know, I'm always ready to go down that geek, the spiritual geek. See, I told y'all gonna learn about the geek. It's what's your geek. Whatever your geek is. If you're into the Bible, it's the biblical geek. If you're into politics, it's the political geek. But remember this, it's all just the geek. Great. Hey, let me ask you this. Moving right along, I want to shift into your coaching career. You have had a very good, I looked at your record, and I have it here somewhere, but I kind of remember you've won more than you've lost. You've won, you've only in 12 years You're around, have 3 losing seasons. One, I think your first year at Missouri State, you were like 11-20. And
Yes.
then really the other 2 losing seasons that you've had per se has been at Missouri 15-16, 15-17. And let's just face it, you've had a lot of injuries that go for you. You had arguably the most talented player in the country, in Michael Porter Jr., that never played one game, who really could have easily been the first pick in the draft. If he slipped down to be still a lottery pick. Tell me something. What should a person? We'll back up and then we'll ask that question. When a person sees a Cuonzo Martin team, what should they expect to see when they see a Cuonzo Martin team?
Well, I like to think you see a team that plays hard, a team that plays together, a team that works hard to have fun, and ultimately fun is in the winning. A team that values each other. I think those are the keys. Like to be very physical, and that has kind of changed somewhat just because how the game's officiated nowadays. But we always want to be physical without fouling, and for us, we got to continue to improve the physical without the fouling part. But it's really sharing the ball, playing as one. Even though you have some elite players here and there, you have to identify that and acknowledge that. But you always want to be a team and be a family on and off the court. And oftentimes it's easier said and done, especially in the culture we're in today with the era of one and dones and that sort of thing. So everybody wants to be that. And nothing wrong with that. But you always want to value family, value a team, and try to play as hard as you can play.
Well, what would you say out of the years that you coached? This being, I think, your 13th year or 12th year. Which one?
Going on 13.
13. That's right. You played because you've been 3 at each year. So this is your 4th year in Missouri.
Yes.
What do you feel has been your toughest coaching challenge, and why?
I would say, now we've had injuries the past 2 seasons here, and not to make an excuses. I'll bring it up because you brought it up. But when we've had in 3 years, we had key guys miss 134 games. That's a lot of games when you're talking about key players, but that's part of it. I just figured that if that's God's will, I got to embrace that assignment, whatever that is, and I got to be strong in it. So I don't flinch when I say that. But I think my toughest assignment, I would say, my first year at Missouri State as a head coach, because that was the first time in sport, as coaching now, not as a player, but the first time I felt like I had no control over the situation as a coach. And what I mean by that, as a player, you can get in there. You can get in there, do whatever, you can make adjustments. But as a coach, you implement a plan. And then the other part, which is hard, you're the leader now. So now your assistant coaches look to you for direction. And now you have to be comfortable in calling somebody else, say, man, I'm struggling. You got any ideas right here? You got any insight on this? Well, you don't want to feel like you don't have it figured out. And I think that's just being young. And then when you go home, my wife's a very intelligent woman, but here I am at home raising, 3 kids. Because when I first got there, my daughter had just turned 1. So she was 1 going on 2. And I had two sons that were older. So now you go home, it's like, why would you pour all that on your wife's plate when she already dealing with, 3 kids, adjusting to a different town, different environment. And really, at that point, I prayed to God just for direction, because you don't, when you're young, you don't want to come off like you're weak. You don't know what you're doing, and if you're struggling and you're losing games, which you've never experienced that before, because again, I was blessed to win state championship, high school, Big Ten championships, had really good teams, and now all of a sudden, where do you go? And it just really, at the same time, I just prayed to God to give me direction, give me insight, and I don't have it word for word, but just give me sound counsel to make sound decisions, to be strong, not make excuses, work hard, and stick to your game plan. I think that's the one part where all of a sudden, I think that's where you see successful people, successful programs, successful businesses, when they stay the course. If you got a game plan, stick with it. You can't flinch in the face of adversity. Those times get hard, and what you have to rely on, your character and your principles. You got to rely on that first and foremost. And when you do that, it minimizes the chaos, because now you have boundaries and you have structure, and it minimizes a lot of chaos. So you just have to stick to the script, and that's what I learned.
That's awesome. Hey, let me ask you this, and I'm a type of guy. Hey, listen. I'm just right now. I've shifted. I'm back into the media piece now. For the record, I'm not going to be, like this year. Last year I did a little post grad, but I won't be doing it this year. So, because of the pandemic, because of the uncertainty, I'm going to shift. I'm shifting into the media. So With that being said, though, I got to ask you the tough question, buddy. This is just how it is.
Go ahead.
Like this year, obviously this is your fourth year at Missouri, and there's a lot of pressure. You know how it is.
Pressure for who?
Let's cut right to the chase. People want to see winning. Like you said,
Good.
I brought up the injury piece, which I personally think fans have to have some type of understanding, because that is critical. You're only as good as your players. Let's go ahead and let me go ahead and say EV's geek here. Duke wouldn't be Duke. All these other places that they are so-called great players, great coaches, and all like that wouldn't be nothing without the players. Let's just make that clear. So if you don't have the right type of personnel, that has some challenges with how good you can be. But with that being said, what can we expect from Missouri this year? On this year's team. What do we expect?
I think simply, if I'll say healthy, and not that I'm discouraged by injuries, but I've been saying for years, barring injury or if healthy, I think we can be at the top of this league. Now, of course, winning the league takes the detail, the attention to details. Taking care of the basketball, minimizing your fouls, playing great defense without fouling, of course. Make it, because I think where we struggled last year, I thought we did some good things, but I think where we have to get better, I should say, we have to get better at finishing at the rim. I thought we got there. We didn't do a great job of finishing at the rim. We have to do a great job of making our corner threes, because I thought a lot were presented. We didn't do a good job making them. And I think, on the defensive side, same intensity, same fire, but minimize the fouls. And I think once we do that, everything will shift for us. I mean, it's just, again, you had some injuries, but I felt like there was still 4 or 5 games we could have won without that if we'd have did those things that I just talked about. So,
I'm just this guy. We can expect, barring injury, we with everything, if everything go right, do what you just said, we can expect Missouri at the top of the league, and we can see possibly get another NCAA tournament bid. Can we get that?
Yes.
And we go.
Yes.
Okay, good. See,
yes.
I like this, though. That was a test geek for you, and let me tell you why.
Yes.
It's amazing that people, when they ask a question, do you expect to win? And everybody wants to go into this geek of, well, no, you should be able to say, what is it? It shouldn't be no such thing as bulletin board material. When you ask me a question, we should win. Yes, I feel we should win. That's simple. And the other stuff that people are doing is geeking. And I can't stand that, because do you believe in yourself or not? I should be able to ask that.
Exactly.
That's why I like you, Zoe. That's why I like you, that you're able to say that. Tell me, like, why do you feel so confident that you're able to say that and you ain't got no problem saying that?
Well, it's just, I don't know if it's necessarily confidence. I think it's more who I am, and I understand my gifts. I understand my gifts as a man, and God blessed me with these gifts. So if I'm here or somewhere else, I still have my gifts. This is where I'm employed, but I still have my gifts. My gifts will travel with me, so I don't worry about that. And it's not a big deal. I know you mentioned something about pressure. There's no pressure at all. I only put the pressure on myself. This is what I do. It's not who I am. And I still have my gifts. As long as my gifts are intact, I can't lose. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard says.
I love that geek. Well, Zoe, man, I appreciate you. I love the geek. It's a great geek. It's a trooper geek. It's your geek. I believe you, man. I really do. You geeked me. Because at the end of the day, man, that's what it's all about. And, man, I appreciate you, coming on, man. Taking the time. And it means a lot, man, to be a part of this first podcast. I've done some other TV, internet stuff, but you're a true friend. You stayed true to your word over the years, and we've had a lot of dealings, and what's so great about the relationship with you is the fact, when I text you, I know you're not going to text me back right away, and that's cool. I ain't tripping on that, because you're going to flip into a geek that you're busy, and I get that. But one thing I can count on you doing, you are eventually going to text me back. And it's probably going to be in that 3 to 5 day window. And that's my expectation. And I tell people this, your level of disappointment, I get this from my best friend, Roosevelt Barnes. Your level of expectation is based on your level of disappointment is based on your level of expectation. So you gotta, he always used to tell me, manage your expectations. So I don't expect you to text me right back. And that's okay, because you're geeking with somebody else. But eventually, you are gonna text me back, and we're gonna talk, and you have anything I've ever asked of you, and I appreciate this, from helping me do ever, you have done. And so you've shown yourself a true friend. Now there's some
EV, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now, since the COVID, has that turnaround time been faster?
Yes, it has.
Okay. Okay. So
you've gone. You usually I gave you that. I said 3 to 5 days. It used to be 7 to 10. So you. You cut it in half. That's a blessing.
Wow.
I get it. I get it. It's okay, because there's some. Eventually, I'm gonna name some names of some coaches.
Don't do it.
I got to. Not today though. I ain't gonna do it today, though. But eventually, I'm gonna name some names of some high-profile guys that used to call me all the time, and I answered their call every time. But now I can't get them on the phone. But it's cool. I'm not tripping on them either. See, you gotta always remember, EV ain't tripping. EV's never tripping, because it's all just a gig. So, hey man, I appreciate you. And man, I look forward to. I'm excited about seeing Missouri in the NCAA tournament this year. I'm believing God. The Bible says death and life is in the power of the tongue. So I'm speaking life into your team. I'm speaking that your team will be healthy. I'm speaking that everything will go right for you, because as a man, you being a man of God, a man of faith, that's what we should expect. So our expectation is that for you, and I'm really excited about what God has done for you and is doing for you right now, and what He's gonna do. And so we need you to continue to be successful. Thank you for your wife, your whole family, man, all your staff and everybody, and just taking the time to come on and be a part of this first show. So with that being said, man, you got any final words?
I appreciate you having me. I respect your hard work, man. I respect the man that you are, man, and I wish you all the success in the world. That's not a geek, that's real.
Yeah, it's still a geek though, but cool. I appreciate it. So we're not gonna get away from the geek now. I'm gonna give you a GOG for that, but it's all good. So
I appreciate
that.
Geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's the geeker, the geeker, the geeker. His name's the geeker, the geeker, the geeker.
The comeback.